Sit down, Lincoln.
Thank you.
You know Professor Mobbs?
Well, I know of him, of course.
As what?
As the author of a book on the Peloponnesian Wars.
Oh, yes. Well, that was a few years ago.
Why?
Oh, I just wondered. I'm lunching with him. Wilder's little jaunt all arranged, is it?
Yes, he leaves the day after tomorrow, 28th.
You're getting on with him all right, are you?
Yes, I think so. He's unorthodox, but I find that something of an advantage.
Good. You haven't been approached by anyone, have you, recently?
Approached?
You find yourself attracted to unorthodoxy, do you?
Well, not specifically. What did you mean, had I been approached?
You'll find in your job that you will, of course, from time to time, have people hoping that you may be able to help them with theirs. I obviously don't mean foreign agents. We often have to entertain them, to learn of their contacts, or to confide misinformation. One's attitude as to whether or not one is prepared to be of assistance must, of course, in the long run, be up to oneself. You realize I'm not talking of journalists and that like.
I think I know what you mean.
And naturally, we don't gaze with any delight on any form of double allegiance, although we recognize that some have to come about. What I'm really trying to point out to you is that in order to be able to resist, should one wish to, the advances of any external interests, one must keep one's life excessively tidy.
I quite understand that.
Yes. Well, naturally, I don't wish to intrude on what is in fact your private life, and which I'm sure is responsibly conducted.
As far as possible.
Yes, quite. However, should you ever be approached, it may be that it's already too late.
I don't understand you.
Well, quite understandably you don't, all of which seems to show that there's nothing to it. However, it could be construed
nothing to
on...
what?
You've been seeing rather a lot of Lady Wilder.
I've been doing nothing more than help her with a guest list for a party she's giving.
Lincoln, as men, we can always find time to assist attractive women in the most trivial preoccupations. We don't seem to be able to find quite so much time to assist the unattractive ones.
I assure you.
Yes, do, Lincoln. Do assure me.
Oh, yes, all right. It's probably quite true.
Yes? In what sense?
Only in the sense you say.
Good. Well, now, having settled that... Yes? Oh, yes, ask him to come in, would you? You say you haven't met Professor Moggs before?
No, I haven't. This was a put-up job, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. What was, dear boy? Do start.
You coming to lunch with Fowler, me being there, and then Fowler getting a message which meant he couldn't join us.
It does sound a bit suspicious put like that, doesn't it? Mint sauce?
No, thank you.
No? Oh, I don't think it's out of the jar. You say you read my book?
Several years ago.
Yes, it was written several years ago.
Have you read any others since then?
Alas.
Too busy.
You have a most penetrating way of making conversation, dear boy. Don't you have any small talk?
I'm not much good at it.
Oh, I adore small talk. Gossip, I always say, is the stuff of literature. Did I say that, or did someone else say it? How's your meat?
Very good.
And history, too, the stuff of them. Literature. We, you and I, this whole room, the world, are merely, you might say, stepping stones on the way to history. How do you think they will read of us in the years to come, this country?
And providing they do.
Yes, always assuming that, of course. Might we not read it's only an hypothesis? Might they not say...
But finally, when their tribal rules became meaningless, they went mad. And like the brontosaurus, unable to adapt, became extinct and turned into an attraction at a tourist center.
I wasn't going to say that at all.
What were you going to say?
I was going to say we might read that as a nation, its previous trade outlets dwindling, it found it could only penetrate its new areas of influence with a new kind of diplomacy.
And that new diplomacy being?
Well, shall we say that its spearhead is trade?
Followed by?
But I suppose it comes these days under the heading of public relations.
Or what in the old days used to be called spying.
Oh, I do think that's a most unpleasant and inaccurate word.
Unpleasant, but not inaccurate.
But these days the objectives are so much more... Well, that's only academic. But don't you believe that we should maintain our influence in these areas with every means possible?
Yes, I suppose in fact I do.
Of course you do, and so do all the other nations. My dear fellow, the trouble we have here with the CIA, here, there, and everywhere, it's terribly busy people.
Mr. Mobbs, what are you proposing to me?
We require your assistance.
And what if I refuse?
Oh, my dear fellow, nothing, absolutely nothing. This isn't the KGB.
Isn't it? I was warned this morning that my friendship with a certain lady could well be misconstrued in some quarters.
Oh, dear boy, what an awful thing to suggest.
Well, presumably you actually want me to work for you, or you wouldn't have approached me.
Well, of course we want you to work for us. We'd be most pleased to have you with us.
But you'd be prepared to write it off if I said no?
Oh, we'd have to, dear boy. We'd have to, wouldn't we? And no hard feelings.
What would happen to the dossier you must have built up on me? You'd destroy it?
Well, that is one of the least likable parts of our job. It covers such a wide area, you see.
In what way?
So many departments use us, you see. It's often quite dreadful, I agree, but the sort of thing that might happen, say, was that you were up for promotion to a job that was pretty heavily classified. Is he secure, they might say? Is anything known? Is he circumspect in his relations with, say, women? And among others, they would quite probably come to us.
I see. Not a concern that seems to have troubled them much in the past.
Well, things have changed.
Oh, everything is changing, isn't it?
But of course, this is only a hypothesis. Naturally, we'd like you to join us because you wanted to join us.
You would be less worried had I not been entirely circumspect with, say, women.
Oh, my dear fellow, I'm sure there's nothing to it. And in any case, that liaison could well be a great help to us.
But which I wouldn't be prepared to use.
Oh, no, we wouldn't ask you to, my dear boy. We wouldn't ask you to.
Would Fowler know about this?
Oh, yes, certainly.
How would he feel?
Oh, Jayston wouldn't object. He was once with our department before the war. He has one blazing star of achievement beside his name. He recruited Kim Philby. Eat up your meat, dear boy. Eat it up.
I suppose in the nature of things, it's bound to become more difficult to weigh things against each other, to know what is right and what is wrong. We seem to be pursued into necessity. I sometimes think the Greek idea of the angry fates wasn't so far off the mark. One does something because it seems right, because it seems to be the things one believes one stands for. Humanity, the country. Only to find one has done it for quite the opposite reasons. And even then one can't be sure where right or wrong comes into it. I suppose the decay of religion took away our sense of moral absolutes. Makes it quite impossible to give advice. Did you accept?
Yes, I suppose so. More or less.
Well, I expect it'll help your promotion.